What's up guys, my name is Ace, and Black Ops 7 is now officially confirmed, and we did get the trailer for it yesterday. I know I'm a little bit behind on this, but I was celebrating my daughter's first birthday yesterday, so good excuse to miss this. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking a bit about this trailer, pointing out a bunch of things I noticed, a lot of little details that you may have missed just watching through this trailer, as well as sharing some of my thoughts on Black Ops 7 in general, based on the very tiny bit of information we know so far. And this includes a recent leak that may clarify things as far as wall running goes in this game, because I don't think it's actually going to be wall running. Also, just a heads up right up front, I'm not somebody that's really into the story elements of the game. I do care about the general setting and tone, but when it comes to like characters and narrative and all that, I don't really get into that stuff. My primary focus is picking out any sort of detail that may give us some hints as far as multiplayer goes. But as we can see, this does appear to be a near future setting. It looks like the leaks were true on this, and this is a direct sequel to Black Ops 2. And as I'm sure you saw, SkinnyBot is back. Wait, that's the wrong franchise. That's from Infinite Warfare. But we do have this robot that looks a whole lot like Ethan from the story, or the Synaptic Combat Rig from Infinite Warfare that people hated because the hitboxes were the same size but in weird locations, and they move differently than the hitboxes with other characters. In either case, he does look a lot thicker as well, so if he is a multiplayer character, it seems like it's not going to be quite as bad as SkinnyBot from back in the day. Next, we have a few hologram images here to take a look at that I think are going to be quite important for multiplayer, because I bet these are going to be score streaks in the game, or kill streaks, whatever system they decide to go with. I assume they'll go with traditional score streaks, since I think they've learned their lesson on that one. And the first one looks like it could be a two-wheeled version of like an RCXD, or it does bring back some memories of the Seeker shock mine from Black Ops 4, the one that would just track you down automatically and then shock you and lock you in place. That one was quite frustrating. Next, we have this little quadcopter drone. To a degree, brings back some Dragonfire memories from Black Ops 2, although it definitely looks different. This could also just be some form of like a recon drone, so it doesn't actually directly kill. Doesn't look like it has any sort of weapons attached to it. So it could also be some kind of a non-lethal score streak or piece of equipment or something like that. After that, we've got a dog robot that looks like it has a machine gun as well as some form of a launcher on there. I could totally see this being a player-controlled score streak that you earn for multiplayer. And then finally, we have this four-legged streak here with a giant cannon on it. This looks like it could be a high-end score streak for multiplayer. And it actually kind of gives like souped-up Mantis vibes from Black Ops 4. So those are the four holograms, and I'm quite convinced that these are going to be available in multiplayer in some form. Then after that, in true Black Ops fashion, it looks like it's going to be quite a mind-bender of a story and theme attached to it. We've got this section here somewhere in South Korea, which is interesting because there was a recent leak that the next Call of Duty game after this is going to be Modern Warfare 4, but for the logo, the 4 is actually a Korean 4. And it seems they're really working toward tying the sub-franchises together, Modern Warfare and Black Ops, so maybe this is some form of a tie-in, or maybe just a coincidence. Next, speaking of tying in the universe, shipment! It's here, it's confirmed. Not really, I'm not actually seeing shipment there, but there are some shipping containers. And obviously, in the mind of a Call of Duty player, if you ever see a shipping container, your mind immediately goes to shipment. And of course, we have the iconic numbers room from Black Ops. This was actually even the menu in Black Ops 1. So big throwback there, and it looks like Menendez is in fact alive in this story. And that was sort of the big reveal of this trailer for anybody that does care about the narrative elements. Which, like I said, I'm not personally too interested in that. And then after, this is where we get some of the more interesting stuff. Right here, we get our first little peek of a gun in the game. And it does appear to be a fictional gun, at least to some degree. It has elements of a Scar H, but it also kind of looks like the Rampart 17 from previous Black Ops games. So probably going to be at least somewhat related to the Rampart. And then after that, we see what appears to be a Cap 40, or at least a gun very similar to the Cap 40 from Black Ops 2, which was that full auto pistol. And then here it is, the big logo reveal for Black Ops 7. Nothing too surprising here. And after that, we get a few interesting clips. First one is just some kind of a ship taking off. Can't really gather much from this. Maybe that's going to be a score streak, maybe not. The second one is very interesting. This giant machete is hitting the ground and a bunch of blood comes out of the ground. There's some floating islands there as well, so some crazy stuff going on here. We'll probably have to wait to see more of what this is exactly. Then just a brief flash of some cells, perhaps that's in Vorkuta. And now for probably the most interesting clip of this entire trailer. This is 100% the Avalon map, which is the map that was initially rumored to be coming with Black Ops 6, as many of the multiplayer maps are actually set in Avalon, but it looks like they pushed it back, and it now appears to be coming with Black Ops 7. And the reason we know it's Avalon is you can see the casino up toward the top of the screen, and on the bottom left of the screen, that's a corner of the stadium where Red Card actually takes place. And you can actually go into spectating mode in Black Ops 6 on some of the maps and zoom out a bunch and get a general overview of Avalon, although this definitely seems to be a lot more refined and heavily edited compared to what you can see in that spectating view. Then skipping ahead a few frames, wingsuits are coming back. And this has a lot of people questioning, are we seeing Blackout 2 instead of just a continuation of Warzone? Maybe it's time for the Blackout brand to come back. And honestly, I think that'd be a pretty smart move at this stage. I feel like the Warzone brand has been declining quite a bit over the years. Verdansk definitely breathed some life back into it, but it might be time to go back to Blackout, and this might be our first hint that we are actually going to be seeing like Blackout 2. Or maybe it's just Warzone and they're bringing wingsuit mechanics into Warzone to kind of get some of those Blackout vibes, because wingsuits were excellent in Blackout, at least in my opinion. I really miss the wingsuits. Then for the next little clip here, this does appear to take part in a section of Avalon, but taking a look at this area, that could totally be a multiplayer map. That looks a lot like a multiplayer map that's contained within Avalon. And we see this ship coming in and dropping explosives there. This could absolutely be a high-end streak as well for multiplayer. So that might actually be our first good look at a multiplayer map in the game. Then we see a clip in a server room with somebody that's using some kind of an active camo ability. I wonder if we'll end up seeing that in multiplayer. My guess is probably, if we're seeing it in the trailer here, but time will tell on that. And then we get a good look at that robotic dog that we saw earlier in those holograms. And in the background, you actually see DAWG. So I think this is going to be called the dog score streak. And then finally, they wrap it up with a little teaser for zombies, which of course will be in Black Ops 7. And there we go. That's the trailer for Black Ops 7. When it comes to just my overall general thoughts on this, setting-wise, I'm really looking forward to a near-future setting. That's always my preferred setting for Call of Duty. It allows the developers to be quite creative and come up with some interesting pieces of equipment and weapons that are at least somewhat grounded in reality while also being unique and interesting, maybe based on some prototype weapons that currently exist. I think that's pretty exciting. I also like the fact that it looks like it's going to be a direct sequel to Black Ops 2. But outside of those things, I'm a multiplayer guy, and there's really only so much you could get from this trailer. So I'm still very much taking a wait-and-see approach to everything, but at least the setting is looking good for me and my preferences. Now, one last thing I wanted to cover here is a recent data mine that may clarify things a little bit when it comes to the whole, is there going to be wall running or not debate? Because a long time ago, there was a leak from a focus group suggesting that there would be wall jumping or wall bouncing, but nothing about wall running. However, recently in the code, data miners were able to find and actually enable wall running in Black Ops 6, and that wall running looked basically exactly the same as the wall running from Black Ops 3. And many people jumped to the conclusion that this is what we were going to be seeing for Black Ops 7. Whereas some new strings in the code appeared, and Reality UK tweeted this. This appears to be for the training course for Black Ops 7, and it specifically mentions a wall jump prompt. And basically the buttons you need to press, a little tutorial telling you what to press in order to activate a wall jump as well as a wall dive. And another thing that was found there is something called an active roll. None of this mentions anything about wall running. It looks like, based on this, we're just going to be able to jump off of walls and also chain that jump into a dive off of the wall instead of just a standard jump. And obviously there's still a lot that we don't know, and I could be wrong at this point, but I don't believe we're actually going to be seeing wall running in Black Ops 7. I think we're just going to be seeing this wall jump and wall dive. In either case, that's going to wrap it up for everything that I wanted to mention in today's video when it comes to Black Ops 7. And this is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. Based on what we've seen so far, which admittedly isn't a whole lot, how are you feeling about Black Ops 7? Are you guys excited for this upcoming title or not so much? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.